y'all? Welcome to my channel. So today I wanted to do a quick video about mental health, and being that it's Mental Health Awareness Month, I wanted to make this my very first video. And also, I myself deal with mental health issues. So back in 2013, I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. It all started with the passing of my grandma. Once she passed, I noticed that it was hard for me to be around a large group of people. I would become very nervous to a point where my hands would start shaking. I would get lightheaded. I would start feeling nauseated, just almost like I wanted to pass out. So after that, I knew something was going on because I was also very sad all the time. So I went to the doctor about 2 or 3 weeks later. She did a stress test on me, and she did come back and tell me that I was dealing with depression. She put me on medication. I took it for about 5 days because it made me really sick. I would have blurred vision, nausea. I was unable to focus at work. My production was very low. I would start having tremors of the hands. Yeah, I couldn't sleep at night. I had insomnia really, really bad. So I decided to take myself off the medicine. I felt like it was doing more bad than good, and it was just making it worse for me. So I stopped taking the medication. Everything was okay until around 2015. That's when things started to get really bad for me, and that's when I understood how serious depression really was. So one night in 2015, I remember waking up in the middle of the night. I was just crying, shaking, rocking back and forth. I just couldn't understand what was going on with me. I was crying, and at that point, I started contemplating suicide. So yeah, things started to get real for me. Like, it got bad. So around 3 o'clock, it was 3 o'clock that morning where I was able to fall asleep. And I remember waking up at like 5:30 or 6 to get ready for work, and I was just saying, I need to talk to someone because I knew at that point things had got really bad. And so I decided to text my mom and my sister, basically just letting them know, that things were just starting to get a little too real for me, and I was kind of just in a dark place and was scared of my thoughts. I started having suicidal thoughts on a daily basis. So once I reached out to my mom, I remember her asking, do I want to come stay with her for a few days? So I went over there. I stayed with her for it was about 3 or 4 days. And I remember on the last day, I just started praying, just asking God for guidance and just protection during this time, and just to help me on my journey because I was lost. I didn't know what to do. I just felt like I was in this sunken place. You know how like on the movie Get Out? That's how I felt. I felt like I was in a dark place with a dark cloud over my head, and I couldn't shake it for whatever reason. So after that, I ended up going home on like the third or fourth day of me staying over there. I forgot. I went home and I started looking for counselors and therapists, and I found one lady. She wasn't too far from me, so I started going to her, and I went to her for about 3 weeks, and it worked. I don't think I stayed long enough, but it did work. I learned a lot about myself. She just started giving me different tips on what to do, and one thing she did tell me was that I internalize a lot of things, so I have to stop internalizing everything and start feeling those emotions. So after that, I just started to rid of all negativity. I started journaling. I had to do like a self-cleanse because I was a very messy and negative person back then. I just had to work on myself. I started just focusing on me and bettering me. And it worked. Like, everything started to look up. So around 2017, I found myself spiraling downhill once again. And since I was familiar with it, I knew to talk to someone as soon as possible. I remember sitting in the car in front of my mom's house, and I was just crying, having an emotional breakdown. And something told me to go to Facebook. So I went to Facebook and I just started typing. Next thing you know, I had like 2 or 3 paragraphs just explaining everything I was going through, how long I had been dealing with it, and how I was feeling at the moment. And I was so overjoyed and just happy with the feedback I received, the love I was receiving, and just different people sharing their stories with me, how they've dealt with depression and anxiety. And it was a great feeling to know that I wasn't by myself and that I was not the only person out here dealing with it. So yeah, it was just I was just overjoyed, like with different emotions. I was filled with so many different emotions, just happy, um, just grateful that, God kept me, and just knowing that I'm not the only person dealing with it. So yeah, um, at that moment, that's when I knew, that I wanted to be a voice for young people or anyone in general that's dealing with depression or anxiety or mental health, period. And just to let you all know that you're not by yourself and you're not crazy, because there is a stigma around depression. A lot of people don't really talk about it. So sometimes we're looked at as being crazy, and that's okay. But just know that you're not crazy and that so many people is out here dealing with it. But if you're feeling at a point where you feel like you're by yourself, or you just need someone to talk to, go talk to a counselor, go talk to a therapist, talk to your friend, stranger. Just talk to anyone who can relate to what you're going through. So yeah, that's it for my first video. Subscribe, share, like, and let me know what it is that you would like for me to discuss. Just different discussion topics. And yeah, so have a good day. Subscribe and share this video.